In this episode, I talked to Deborah Hanekamp of Mama Medicine about bathing rituals, becoming your own healer, and working with the water element to set intentions into motion. We talk about the beauty of aging, heightened sensitivity, and practices and methods to reconnect you with your divine beauty. Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. If you are on Instagram, you have likely seen the work of Mama Medicine or Deborah Hanekamp. And I think what stands out to me most about Deborah is her sense of reconnecting us to our own beautiful divine nature. She has an incredible depth quality at grabbing ingredients and putting them into exquisite bath time rituals. But not only that, I really gained a sense of her work in terms of using bathing rituals to commit to something to yourself in your life and becoming your own healer. And that's what we talk about today. Deborah is located in New York City. She's launching a book this month called Ritual Baths. She has several decades of experience doing medicine readings, and she has a lot of followers. And she really centralizes her work around encouraging people to feel empowered and intuitive and be their own healers and connect with their own master within. Thank you so much for being with us, Deborah.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I get to speak to you 2 times in 1 month.
Yay!
I'm super excited about your book coming out, which we can talk more about. When is it coming out again?
It's coming out on March 24th.
March 24th.
New moon in Aries.
Ooh, what a great time.
Yeah.
I already went on Amazon and bought my first copy.
Thank you.
So just letting folks know out there, you can pre-order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the book, let's just rewind a little bit and I'll ask you the question that people always ask me, which is, how did you get to where you are now?
I just have always been like a really mystical person ever since I was a very young child that could see auras. And I just really took a deep dive into mysticism around the age of 12. And that by the time that I got out of high school when I was 17, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to use my sensitivity as my strength and help be a part of healing the world in some way. And so I got started out on my path then. I started even doing mini healing sessions. The start of what is now called a medicine reading was actually birthed then. And I traveled back and forth to Thailand for 5 years and studied sound healing, crystal healing. I traveled back and forth to Peru for 8 years and did a whole apprenticeship in the Amazon jungle down there. I just always was searching and learning and seeking. Actually, I feel I still am doing so much of that and probably will be well into my 80s. And my work, my craft, medicine readings is something that has just developed with me along the way.
And what would be what's your deepest wish? What crosses your mind when you're about to do a medicine reading for a person, or when you're having a moment to yourself, or when you're taking a bath? What's your deepest wish?
I don't know. The word empowerment comes up here. I want everything that I do to drop fear and the work that I need to do on myself to set an example of being my own healer, and then empower others to be their own healer along the way. So the word empowerment really comes through. Yeah.
And what are the types of fears that you see today when you're working with people? Because I know that when I used to see clients, extensively, I would see themes things, certain like waves of things would come in. So what are you seeing now? And I know New York is definitely like a slightly different environment than what I'm used to here in Arizona. What kinds of fears do you see arising in the folks in your community right now?
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm based in New York, I have a tendency to work with like a global audience because of the way medicine readings are offered digitally. But I see globally in the collective consciousness like a fear of the unknown, and like a fear of mystery. And so that's one of the big things that I check in with myself about, because really I think a fear of the unknown and a fear of mystery is sort of like a fear of the divine, or the fear of like whatever word you want to use for how you would describe God. Like I think that like we don't feel comfortable with that which we cannot explain and that which we can't know for a fact. And so therefore we fear it. But then I think that is concerning, because what we fear, we tend to try to control in some way. And so, yeah, I feel like collectively there's like a fear of the unknown.
Like jumping off a cliff, like the free fall, like don't know what's on the other side kind of feeling.
Yeah, like floating in the ocean or like the forest at night. Like these are things that like can support us actually so much, but we fear it because we can't see it,
Wow. And do you have a bath like remedy, ritual, or recipe for that type of fear, or anything come to mind for that?
I feel that it's great to face fears like this. And so I think that you can work with it on a really small level by just like, when your intuition calls you to something and you don't know why, like let's say your intuition is calling you to like a specific plant and you don't know why it's like calling you to that plant, but you just feel like, okay, for some reason lemon balm keeps on coming up for me, and there it is again. And then I heard a song with lemon balm in it, and just go ahead and put the lemon balm in your bath. Or you keep seeing an amethyst crystal and you want to get an amethyst crystal, but you don't know why you want to get that amethyst crystal. Like just go ahead and like take an amethyst crystal, put it in your bath and see what happens. And like let that mystery teach you, and let your own intuition teach you and guide you. That's what I would say.
I love that. And do you have any specific flower or plant or gemstone allies now that you're particularly drawn to?
I'm working a lot with these Lemurian quartz crystals that I received. I'm having like a really profound experience with them, actually. Like there's a lot coming through with them. So yeah, for maybe about a month and a half I've been working with them, and there's a lot of like beings in the stones basically.
Yeah, I always think of crystals as like like water, like solidified crystallized water that stores like thousands of years of information.
Yeah,
I imagine back to Lemuria, if they're Lemurian crystals.
I would imagine so. I mean, it's pretty deep. I'm also like very specific when I work with crystals. Like I take my time with them. It isn't about quantity for me. It's about like taking time and like really like settling into working with them. And with these crystals particularly, there's some that I'm sleeping with, there's some I'm meant to travel with, there's some that I'm putting around myself in my yoga practice, but there's this feeling of being like surrounded and supported while I'm working with them that I'm really enjoying.
Any flowers that you love?
Oh, so many. I feel like my favorite is probably sunflowers though. I love them. Sunflowers and sweet peas.
Sweet. Oh, wow. That's so lovely. Sunshine and abundance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's your daily life like? You're doing a lot of medicine readings digitally or virtually. So folks are making appointments with you. What's kind of like your everyday like?
I'm a mom first, so I try to keep my working hours while my daughter is at school, so I can like show up as a mom when she's not. But I wake up at like 5 a.m. I take time for meditation, and my meditation shifts every day based on what I'm needing. I feel like when I adhere to only one kind of meditation, I start to feel a little bit stuck. So I kind of like show up for whatever I'm needing that day. Sometimes it's working with sound. Sometimes it's just sitting in silence, stillness, and darkness. Like it's all sorts of different things, but I give myself about an hour for that. And then another hour for movement. Movement also I take day by day. Some days it's running, some days it's yoga, some days it's dance, but it also like shifts day by day, but I always give myself time to move my body. And then I'll wake my daughter up at 7, get her ready for school, send her off for her day. And then I'll do about 5 medicine readings in a day. And I like to take time after that to go outside, clear my energy, take a bath, and then just journal for a little bit about things that have come up during the day and things that I've learned, because I feel like I learn so much when I facilitate them. And then I go to bed like really early, like like a little old lady, like 8:30, 9 o'clock,
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds like a luxury. And what are some of the things that you teach your daughter from your path?
Yeah, we live in New York, and what I love about this city is like the level of diversity that she's exposed to on a daily basis. I think that that's really important because there's so much that we can learn from each other, But what is hard about it is that there's not a big connection to nature. So I do make sure that we take time to go down to the East River, and I just show her how to like put prayers into water and like work with the water that we have here. And I make sure that we get outside and go for walks every day and spend time at the farmer's market and things like that, and try to keep her connected. And then when we travel, like teach her a lot of rituals. But the most important thing that I want to guide her with is the ability to use her own voice and to sing and to speak up and to not feel that she needs to be silenced. Yeah.
Love that. And when you go to the East River, how do you get there? I'm just curious.
Just walk. Yeah, we just walk.
Because every time I'm in New York, I usually stay in East Village. And
okay,
either once or twice, we'll always do a flower offering in the river. Mm-hmm. So is that like the place where you get to the river and there's like this tiny little kind of park kind of, and there's benches and flowers? And
I live on the other side
of the
river. Yeah, I live in Williamsburg. There's so much access to the river here. Like there's, little beaches. There's like Olive Domino Park. Like from the Williamsburg Bridge, even past the Williamsburg Bridge, almost all the way up to Greenpoint, you can get to the waterfront here.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, so we find all the different little secret spots.
It's so funny because when I go to, living in the desert, sometimes when I go to New York, I'm like, oh my God, especially in the summer, it's so lush here. Like there's so many flowers and trees and, people are like, this is New York. What are you talking about? But compared to the desert, sometimes you find these pockets that are just so beautiful and lush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were talking about voice. Have you ever experienced in your life a time when you felt like you had to be silenced, or have you ever felt shy or, like that feeling sensitive made you feel like you had to be quiet?
Yeah, I think that growing up being like the youngest in a family and also like a young girl too, people just like don't listen and everyone would just talk over me. Actually, even still to this day, when I get together with my family of origin, they just like will talk. They like nobody listens. They just like, they don't care. They just like talk right over me. Also because like I feel I have like a gentle way of like getting even very firm points across, and that's not the dynamic in which my family of origin speaks. So there's also that. It's like we're speaking different languages. But I also think like, for example, with seeing auras, right? Like I didn't realize that other people didn't see auras until I was 12. And then when I did tell friends, when I was like explaining to friends about the colors around people, they like laughed at me like, what are you talking about kind of thing? Like, oh, that's crazy. And then I didn't tell anyone that what I was actually doing when they came for like a reading was seeing their auras until about 2015, So I stayed like very quiet about it for many years.
That's a long
Yeah.
time. That's
Yeah.
a very long time.
Yeah. And only the people like closest to me knew, like best friend or like partner would really know what I was actually doing. But even then I would be like really quiet about like not talk too much about it.
And I feel like over the years, you've gotten a lot of support and visibility. People know who Mama Medicine is, right? How do you sort of inside yourself, or is it ever a challenge, sort of reconcile that feeling of sensitivity, but also having to sort of promote yourself and be visible and be seen? And are you ever afraid to be seen?
Like all the time I'm afraid to be seen, I would say, because I'm a Scorpio. Like I feel like hiding underneath my Scorpio rock is more like my nature, like going off in a corner and like brooding somewhere is like a little bit more like my nature. But I also understand that, I look back on my early life, right? There was like a lot of challenges there. There was like just a lot of like what would be considered struggle there. And I look at like where I am today, not just from like a third dimensional standpoint, but also like with my mental space, with my emotional space, like how much evolution and healing has occurred. And I think like that it is important to kind of share that like anything is possible, and all we have to do really is take accountability and responsibility for ourselves, for like the life we live, all of that, and and step up to the challenges that life gives us. And I want to be like a testament to that. I want to be an example of that. And so I have to understand that like the reason why the energy that comes through me, what I write and the work I do is able to come through me, is because of everything I've been through in life and how much that like opened me, but also because I stepped up to the challenges that life gave me. And I know that like there's purpose in all of it. Like all of it has happened for a reason. And I think that is to share. And so even though my brooding Scorpio self wants to go like hide in a corner, I know that I have to like put my ego down and step up and share and hopefully inspire a few people along the way.
And if you were going to say, like, for the listeners in terms of like a support or assistance or tips, recommendations for empowerment and intuition, you know, whether it's someone like me, whether it's a young girl, anything pop into your head?
I think that looking for the answers within yourself is really important. And like, it's okay to seek outside of yourself for just like support and encouragement and just like to sound things out loud. But to know that all the answers that you seek are already within you. Yeah. Yeah. And not let other people's opinions and judgments and likes on social media and things like that like affect how you view the medicine that you have to share, because what you have within you is so much more valuable than we can really quantify at this moment.
And what sort of practices do you recommend people, or methods to tap into that within, right?
I think, well, of course, ritual baths, of course. Number one. Number two, go outside, be connected with nature. You know, even if you live in the city, there's so many ways we can connect with nature here. Wherever you are, there's that ability to access nature. So go outside. I would say number three, practice gratitude, practice being happy with what you have, practice like honoring the ways that your own intuition has showed up for you. And then number four maybe would be pay attention to the synchronicities in life. Pay attention to like when numbers line up on a clock, or like you think about somebody and then they reach out to you, or you had a loved one who passed away and they keep showing up for you in your dreams or in songs, or, you know, pay attention to that as well. Sorry, the printer just turned on.
It's okay.
I'm like, what are you doing?
The synchronicity is popping up.
Yeah.
The printer wants to be heard. Okay, so I was going to ask you about ritual baths.
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to know? Like how history or beauty or tradition, and how did you, I mean, many people take baths, but you've kind of taken it to the next level of regularly, consistently, reliably tossing all kinds of stuff into your baths and making it a beautiful, beautiful ritual. What should we know?
Yeah. I feel like you follow any tradition back to like its more matriarchal origins, or even once it crossed over into patriarchy, and you will see ritual baths somewhere in there in some way. And I think that the reason why basically a ritual bath being bathing with a certain intention behind that bath is because it's a returning to that sense of the womb and being supported, and it gives the cleansing that you receive when you submerge yourself in water and allow yourself to be held by water is like such a powerful rebirth. And then you put the vibration of like love or truth or intuition or things like that into the water, and the water will hold that. And so the water will then hold you in your own intention, which is super powerful. You know, this is real magic. And so the origins are everywhere. It's in our blood to understand the power of taking a bath, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I think from like a beauty perspective, that's also very ancient too. And I think that there was a time when our connection to mystery and our connection to like the divine was also a connection to beauty. You know, if you think about it, when you go into like the more matriarch traditions, it's all a celebration of the different beautiful aspects of nature, and everything about nature, the arising, the abiding, the fading away, everything about nature is looked at with such like reverence and beauty and celebration. And I think that we forget to look at the way we evolve and change and grow in our physical appearance as an aspect of what it means to be a part of nature. And I think that when we connect to the element of water, we're connecting to nature, and we're able to like remember our own beauty. Also, water is reflective, you know, and it can show you yourself, and it can show you how you're meant to heal yourself.
I love that. How often do you take baths?
Right now, I am on a cleanse. So I'm doing a bath every other day, but usually I do them about once a week.
And do you have, this is just curiosity, but do you have like materials? Do you have like in your bathroom or your kitchen, just like, these are my bath materials, like the salts and the coconut milks and the stuff?
Oh yeah, I've got some materials over here. My kitchen is like filled with herbs. My husband, every time I bring another herb home, my husband is like, really like more, you know. And then my bathroom has like a bunch of different clays and salts and, you know, sulfur that I got on Volcano Island and in off the coast of Sicily, like, you know, all sorts of little magical elements to add into the bath, and different crystals and stuff will call to me to be added to the bath as well. I've been really loving adding the wild delphinium to the bath. Mm-hmm.
That's such a good elixir, isn't it?
It's so magical.
Talk about being bold and expressive and seen. That's such a great one for that. Yeah. So can we take a little left turn here and talk about aging?
Yeah.
What's your take on aging? Yeah. What's your take on aging? What are you thinking about these days in terms of aging?
I don't know. I feel like in my line of work, which I imagine is very similar for you, like I started doing it at such a young age, and people were kind of like, you are, and also when I was like, you know, when I was 17, I looked like I was 12. You know, when I you know, when I was 24, I looked like I was maybe 17. Like people have always been like, what do you know? You're so young. And so like, I feel in my line of work, actually aging has been like awesome. Like you get like more credibility the older you get. So like when I, you know, when I finally got like a little bit of like wrinkles around my eyes or my mouth, I was kind of like, yes, like finally, you know, finally. I also feel like as we age, we become more and more sensitive, and not just in terms of like what we put on our bodies and in our bodies, but like also, you know, to our surroundings, to sound, to smell, all of that. And so I've been loving the increasing sensitivity that has been coming with age. And I've been able to begin to read like my skin and my hair and things like that as more of a map to what is happening, not just like internally in terms of like my digestive system or what I'm eating, but as a map to tell me like where, like maybe where there's too much stress or too much stagnation or things like that. So I'm a big fan of the increasing sensitivity of age. I do, however, want to age in a healthy way. I want to keep my body really healthy as I age. I want to make sure like I'm drinking a lot of water, and that I'm doing a lot to like keep my spine healthy and things like that, my teeth healthy, you know, things like that. Like really make sure that I'm also taking care of myself with this increasing sensitivity.
What are your tips for spine and teeth?
I feel like just, yoga is just, I love it. Like it, even if it's just like lying on my back with legs up the wall, I can kind of feel everything realigning, and having a consistent yoga practice reminds me how to like hold myself throughout the day. And the practices of yoga that are not necessarily just the postures, like oil pulling, I love that. Like I love the idea of like oil pulling the toxins out of your body, as well as making your teeth happy, like things, but then also I come from a very, very modest economic background. So like recently that has been shifting, and I started going to the dentist, and that has been like kind of a game changing thing too. Like, go get like a dental cleaning, and like, like
Yeah.
just those like just those things that are important to do when you start getting older.
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah, I've been looking at different herbs like for mouthwash, just like to something to keep your gums nice and healthy.
Yeah. Have you found anything?
I've been working with one. It's like I need to give them all a fair test. So I've been working with one for about a month, and then I started to have doubts and think, is it making things worse? So now I'm gonna switch to another one and see what the difference is. I haven't discovered the secret yet.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be careful because like a lot of what can clean can also strip the enamel of your teeth. So it's tricky. You got to find something that like maybe doesn't have so much like acidity in it, or Yeah, it's curious. Let me know.
Okay.
Find.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like things like plantain should be really good for the gums, right? To kind of tighten them up and keep all the teeth in line.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Still discovering. Okay, so anything else that you want to share about your book?
Just that it's all split up. The sections are all split up by aura color, and you can pick your bath based on like an aura color that you're attracted to, or there's like a little fun aura quiz in the back of the book, or you could use it as like a divinatory tool and close your eyes and just open up to whatever page, and then that's the bath that you're meant to take. So I really want people to have a lot of fun with this book.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Any favorite baths in there, or anyone that pops into your mind as a tease, a sneak peek?
I really love the Know Thyself bath. Okay, so here's the book.
So beautiful.
For the launch, I have someone making a dress for me that matches the cover of the book.
Oh my God.
And it's all like plant dyed, and she made like all these beautiful peonies. It's amazing. Let me see. I think I'm gonna actually pick a bath like how I just said, as like a divinatory tool. Ooh, find my purpose bath. There's a lot, like each bath has an introduction. You can almost read the book cover to cover in a way, but this bath ritual, it has a lot to do with making vows to yourself, and the vow of letting your instinct guide your intellect rather than your intellect lead the way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it. And then what should everyone know about medicine readings? I know that we had one several weeks ago and it was awesome. I was actually quite surprised. I wanted to give you feedback because I felt like it came at a time when many sources of like information were telling me one thing and you were just sort of like, nope, it's this other thing, which was a really cool, I didn't see it as like a conflict or anything. It was just like a very, very cool, like other perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I really took what you said to heart and thought, you know, that's a really interesting way to see things. And it's almost like it brought me more into the middle path because, you know, like a really silly example would be you need to get a personal assistant. You need to find someone with finances. Maybe you need a lot of support in this area. You need to offload some of your tasks, right? And then you came in and you're saying, no, you have to do it all yourself, which isn't exactly what you said, but it was like a very interesting way of looking at something from a different perspective of, oh, what are the benefits of me doing something? I take charge. I know exactly what the details are. Maybe I'm not ready to offload certain elements. So it just as an example to say that you offered a really different perspective, which was really sweet and refreshing.
Yeah, I think for me personally, from like a business perspective, it is, people wouldn't really believe the amount of stuff that I actually do myself. Like, if you go on my website, you'll see like all this press and stuff that I've gotten. And people are always like, who does your PR? And I actually have never had somebody do my PR. I just have like let it come and had like a feminine approach to like allowing things to happen rather than like making them happen and going out and getting them. And there's certain aspects of like having a business that are just not fun, you know, like it's tax season, like that sucks, you know. I don't want to like, I don't even want to like look at that, you know. But the thing is that like when you're the creative of your business and you know the numbers, it's so good for the rest of your business because you know exactly what you need to do. And then things like free time become like a practical thing that you work into your schedule rather than just feeling like it's something that you can imagine but you can't quite get there kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit more about allowing things to happen? What would you say, what would you recommend, like to someone like me or anyone? How do you allow for things to happen? And I understand what you're saying. We're actually releasing I need to send you some. We have a new flower essence blend coming out this month it's called Expansive Presence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all flowers related to that. Like, how can we embody our divine feminine to more abundantly receive? But I would be interested to know if you have any practices or rituals or baths or intentional methods to allow things in more.
Well, I do think that connecting with the vibration of water in general is going to pull you into your receptivity and your receptive nature, you know? I think that like actually again, it's like number one, ritual bath. I like a broken record. I like
great.
Just try it.
I love it. I'm understanding more of what's behind what you do because it's not just pretty. It's not just healing. You are making a firm commitment as you're doing it as well, right? Or like opening to the forces of nature to help you achieve or embody.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I feel like all of life needs water, right? We're all drawn to it. There's this practice that I have in the bath sometimes that I take, and you know, sometimes at the end of medicine readings, I'll recommend different clients to try it as well. And it's also how like I've worked things with my business where it's like, I am water. Like all of life comes to me. Like I am water, you know, like if you're out in the desert and you're the watering hole, you don't need to have to go out and find like the elephants, you know, the lions, everybody's coming to you, you know, all the trees, everybody's like trying to find their way to you. And I think it's like a really interesting approach to work with. And it's not like feminine and masculine, like man versus women, because we all have masculine and feminine in us. And, you know, but I view my masculine energy more as like the sun that creates the reflection on the water, and the sun that like is the guiding light towards the water, rather than like, you know, like having to like chase the sun. Like, why would you do that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I can see more baths in my future. Yeah, I love water. Hot springs are the best. Do you like hot springs?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Whenever I'm traveling, I'm like, okay, where are the hot springs? Like, do you have a bunch around you?
Not so much in Arizona. No, I mostly only visit them when I'm traveling. We kind of, in the last couple of years, made it. It's kind of like we only went to collect flowers where there were hot springs in the world. So we kind of worked that into the
I love that.
Yeah, not too many close by. Maybe a couple, but my favorite are the hot springs rivers. I love like
Where's
full
that?
rivers. There's from anywhere from like Iceland, Costa Rica, Taiwan. Thailand, there's actually one that I haven't been to yet, but I want to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Water is magic.
Mm-hmm. Total magic.
Do you ever go to bathhouses? Like Korean bathhouses or Japanese bathhouses?
Sometimes. I don't really like being in the bath at the same time as other people. Here's an idiosyncratic thing for me. I don't know. I can't do it, you know? I can't do it. It's okay if it's like a bath, you know, you go to hot springs. Sometimes I have like bathtubs, and like you go into the bathtub, you empty it out you know, it's like your water goes back into the water. Like that feels okay for me, but like bathing in everybody else's water, I can't deal.
You want a contained experience.
Yes.
I can understand that.
We all have our boundaries, okay?
I get it. And then, okay, so anything else you want to share about medicine readings for folks who are listening and are curious?
Just that, like, the primary focus of medicine readings is you being your own healer. So it's very much like you come in, you set intentions about what you're calling in or clearing out, and then I read your energy, and based on that, I tell you what I see that could be like hidden talents and gifts, or things that you should pay attention to, like little things. And sometimes like more major things will come up. Sometimes past life stuff will come up. Sometimes like spirit babies will come up, but it's all in the vein of what is coming up in your auric field at that time that needs to be paid attention to for you to be able to do your own healing work. And I do channel, like when we're talking, it's more channeling. It's more like, I wouldn't call myself a medium, but it's more what people would consider like a mediumship like experience. But I only channel like your love and your light, and like divine love and divine light, and not necessarily like certain guides or certain like ancestors or relatives or things like that, you know? And it's very kind of like far out, but at the same time, like action and practicality focused. Like what are like these like practical, you know, action steps that you can take to be your own healer. Like it's not, you know, there's the reading itself, but then there's like okay, how do I integrate this into my life? How do I process this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And being able to do the medicine readings digitally, which I started offering them digitally in 2014 when my little family and I were on a trip to Peru for a few months, and people still wanted to see me, but I was in Peru. And so I started doing medicine readings over Skype, and I've continued doing them in that way ever since. And being able to offer them digitally, I feel this like expansiveness to, you know, the world at large. And, you know, being able to meet people from cultures that I you know, I don't know anything about, and like in places that I've never been to, is really powerful for me, because I feel like it feeds into the medicine that I then share with the collective at large, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you have any bath ritual recipes, like teeny tiny little something that you want to leave us with, or maybe a piece of homework?
I think it would be great to do because we've been talking a lot about feminine energy. So I think to do like a divine mother bath in terms of being your own divine mother. So you would put fresh rosemary, dried rosemary tea, or rosemary essential oil in the bath, pink rose petals, at least 1 cup of pink Himalayan sea salt, a black tourmaline crystal, and a rose quartz crystal in the bath.
Mm.
And then calling in your own divine mother within you.
Okay, that's the homework. And then any last words of wisdom, anything that you find yourself commonly telling people, or anything that just sort of springs naturally to your heart in this moment?
Patience, presence, and perseverance. The 3 P's. On your path of being your own healer, when you practice these 3 P's, patience, presence, and perseverance, you'll find that you, like water, can find your way around or through just about anything.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us, Deborah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I just want to give a shout out to Deborah's book, Bathing Rituals. I read the whole thing today. It's beautiful. It has stories from her personal life and how she came to some of these bath recipes that she shares. Super inspiring. I mean, I came up with a whole list of ingredients that I want to just like have on hand so I can create my own baths. I love how she organized the book in terms of colors. And man, I mean, this like the idea of lavishing yourself with fresh flower petals in your bath, or like slices of oranges. You know, I love that in her recipe. It was one of the first recipes I read. It was in the red section. She organizes it by color, red being the first color. And one of the recipes had 3 red apples sliced into slices. And I thought, man, that's like such decadence. It's such abundance, like that you could obtain all those ingredients and toss them into your bath. Total abundance. So I want to encourage you to check out her book, and then also remind you that we have bath salts that you can add to your concoctions. We have 12 different kinds, and each one is like a 1 serving. So you just toss it all into your bath, and it comes with a meditation, a special meditation for whatever blend you bought, but for the bath, designed to be listened to while you're soaking in the bathtub, which is amazing and fun. And I think you can pair the 2 together. I mean, I was just thinking, oh my God, I want to take a wild abundance bath, but then I also want like fresh rose petals and all kinds of other yummy stuff that Deborah recommends in her book. So quick down and dirty, we have bath salts, and you can just toss those into your bath. But then if you want to take it a step further and really create this more intentional setting with specific ingredients and prayer and intention. And that's what I really love about Deborah's work the most, is just the concept of becoming your own healer and being really intentional about why you're doing what you're doing, setting your motivation for what you're up to in that bathing ritual, and making a dedication at the end. Very magical, very beautiful practice. So check out Deborah's book, Bathing Rituals, and check out LOTUSWEI bath salts. Thanks so much for being with us on the Flower Lounge. Thank you so much for listening to the Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at lotuswei.com.